Ms. Volk, I appreciate that already in this meeting you've shared you understand there is a crisis when it comes to the affordability of housing. And you mentioned particularly when it comes to deeply affordable housing. This is similar to what we've heard from researchers like Dr. Carolyn Weitzman, who has put out some research recently, following on the questions from Ms. Chabot as well, when it comes to the definition of affordable housing and the impact that that has. As I shared with you before this meeting, in my community, for example, the number of people living unsheltered tripled from 2018 to 2021, from just over 300 to over 1,000, and more recently now it has gone from 1,000 to over 2,300. So it's having significant impacts in communities like mine, and one of the solutions is to ensure that the federal government funds deeply affordable and affordable housing. Have you seen the research from Dr. Weitzman when it comes to the extent to which CMHC is not using its own definition of affordable housing on affordable housing funds?
I haven't, but I see Nadine nodding her head, so I think she has.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So there is one definition that CMHC uses to better understand the core housing need in Canada, which is the 30% definition that most of all of you have mentioned today. And we do use this definition on contribution-based programs that are that has the la formule mathématique that permit
formula.
ability, like the Canada Housing Benefit.
Thank you, Ms. LeBlanc. I'd like to talk about a specific example then. So the Affordable Housing Fund, a $15 billion fund. That fund has no criteria for 70% of the units. The 30% of the units that do have criteria are pegged to 80% of market rent. It doesn't actually use the affordable housing definition of CMHC. And so, Ms. Volk, I recognize you're coming into this role. It's been only about 6 months or so. Is this something you intend on at least looking at to understand better so that Canadians can have a sense that a fund called the Affordable Housing Fund, I think we can all agree, should be funding what CMHC recognizes is affordable housing?
Absolutely, and I think you've touched on a really important point, which is that the word affordability has come to mean something different than it used to. So when I worked at CMHC from 96 to 2005, affordability, when we talked about affordable housing, we always meant what we now call deeply affordable, because now there's another category of homes that may not be in core housing need, but are still finding homes unaffordable. So what we try to identify whether our programs are about this general affordable housing or the deeply affordable housing, which is the kind that you're referring to. And we need to make sure that we have programs that address both, but we absolutely need programs on the deeply affordable housing side, which is what
actually, Ms. Volk, in communities like mine, it's both. Mm-hmm. I think one of the concerns is that for the largest financing program that CMHC offers, the apartment construction loan program, only 4% of funds of the units built are funding those who were in core housing need. In addition, though, that because CMHC isn't using income-based definitions, which is CMHC's own definition, it's leading towards both affordable and deeply affordable housing not being built at the rate it could be. I'd like to ask with my remaining time, if Ms. Volk, if you could depose to this committee the number of units funded by CMHC with the rents of the units that were built, broken down by program type. Would that be possible?
I don't know if we have the information, but I'll undertake to see what we have.
I think that data is really important so that parliamentarians can make decisions based on that.
Yes, and if it is available, would you provide it in writing to the committee, Ms. Volk?